Jeff Veal, the business guru, coming to you, well, 11 o'clock in the morning, but no, 11 o'clock at night. I'm tired about it, 3 a.m. 11 o'clock at night here. I've got a wonderful guest, again from the States. Most of our guests seem to come from the States these days. We had a few, one from Dubai today, one from England, one from India, but majority come from the States. That's with the big smoke. My guest is a very interesting guy, absolutely. And once again, I learn something every day from these guests. Gentleman's name is Kevin L. Ayers. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And he's in the Additive Manufacturing Consultant and 3D Metal Konsulting. And it's interesting concept. He's been doing this for a mere 34 years. So what might he know about that subject, guys? Think about it. What might he know? I reckon that would about make him a worldwide authority. In fact, he's been all over the world doing this and helping people all over the world with this sort of stuff. His assisting companies get into AM key achievements or projects, designed thousands of AM systems and built over 30,000 parts with, and they won't mean much to you and I, but they'll tell you about it in a minute, FBI, SME, Danfoss, and 3D Metal Konsulting. His personal motto is pretty much the same as mine: never, never give up. Interesting fact about himself, he started the art movement in 3D printing. I think I told you guys he knew what he was talking about. It's my great pleasure to welcome to the stage Kevin. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing a fair to middling, I'm afraid.
Fair to middling. Bit of an average.
Yeah. Yes.
Tell us about your journey, Kevin, and what inspired you to pursue this wonderful career? That's such an unusual career. How did it all start? Tell us about it.
Well, I graduated from the University of Illinois Engineering School last century. And then while I was in school, I was recruited by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah. And it sounded a lot more interesting than the other job offers I had at the time. So I took the job, moved to the Washington, D.C. area. Yeah. And then I did some research for about 2.5 years and was getting bored with that. And then they pulled me into foreign counterintelligence for their 2.5 years. Wow. Working against the Soviets and the Chinese. And then they borrowed me because we didn't have many mechanical engineers in the FBI to look at this thing called, at that time, rapid prototyping. Yeah. In particular, stereolithography. I looked at it and fell in love with it instantly, saw a lot of potentials, and then I transferred it back into engineering and started getting machines and building parts for the FBI. So as people ask me what we did, we had to design and manufacture anything that was made in the U.S., Europe, Asia, slightly modified within 24-hour period. So a lot of it was like Q and James Bond, but I say we were Q-less, but
that's pretty cool.
But I got to do all kinds of applications: medical, aerospace, automotive, all parts slightly modified. We had our own internal parts to do for like document holders on Zodiac assault boats or any number of things for forensics for court cases.
As I say, you lived in interesting times, my friend.
Yeah.
What's been the most challenging aspect of your work, and how have you overcome it over all these years?
The most challenging is when you make a part out of 3D printing, and you're trying to duplicate something that's already made. Usually there's a manufacturing standards that apply to that part, which makes you usually pick the same alloy. Not all alloys are available in 3D printing, but we're getting more and more and more as processes like binder jet happen. And so you redesign the part based on the material you've got and get it qualified. Getting it qualified is really difficult. But then, supply chain disruption is the new norm. So we have to be able to deal with it. And additive 3D printing is poised to do all that. One of the new niches too is you can have a part in production for, say, $19.05 a piece.
Yeah.
And then supply chain disruption hits with COVID or wars or supply tariffs or whatever. Yeah, you can shut down whole factories and lines. And with additive 3D printing, you can supplement production so you keep your factories open. Yes, you'll pay a little bit of more price usually, but it's a huge cost to shut these lines down. And also, what's the price of losing customers?
Yes.
And so additive is really starting to take off in that regard.
Interesting, because the customers sometimes have to wear that because there is no choice. If there's no alternative, well, that's just the facts, isn't it?
Yeah, and most companies don't know there are alternatives right now.
Yeah.
They think there might be. They don't even know there's 3D printing of metal.
Yes, correct.
So
yeah, in some ways, it's almost still in its bloody infancy, isn't it? In many ways to the general public.
Yeah, I mean, machines are becoming cheaper too. So
yes.
Even the metal ones are becoming cheaper.
Yeah.
So it won't be too long. You'll see them.
Who's at the forefront of this stuff? China, India? Who's at the forefront of the majority of this stuff?
That's a good question. I would say it's even between the U.S., Europe, especially Germany. UK's got some good stuff going, and China is doing a lot. Right. At first, China copied everything we were doing.
Yeah, naturally.
And not skip the patent rules.
yeah, right. Yeah, right.
But on their own right, they're doing a lot of good research now.
Yes. What about Japan? That Japan involved somewhat?
You know, you would be surprised to know they were, because they love new technology.
Yes, correct. That's why I asked that question.
Their business managers are very conservative, so they don't switch. They put a high amount of taxes on incoming 3D printed products,
right,
which hurt.
Yes.
And I got them going in the 2 factories I had in Japan. Yeah. And they were excited about it. And they're, all engineers worldwide are love to get into 3D printing once they see it and get used to it, because you can create. There's nothing you can't create. Yes. You're only limited by your own mind in 3D printing. Geometry is not a limitation. And so the new software allows you to automatically create designs based on loading conditions and bounding factors. And it creates these weird organic Stephen King, 3D Star Wars shapes that you would never thought of before.
Yes. And
they're a lot more weight efficient and energy efficient, these shapes are.
That was an important moment in your career, Keith, where the change of direction. When that aha moment come after the FBI? What happened?
Well, that was a big change, because I was used to putting bad guys away, and then I worked for SME for a year and a half. That was interesting too. Yeah. But I was more like teaching, being a prophet and spreading the word. Danfoss came along, and I had to put additive in 68 factories in 23 countries worldwide. Awesome. And one reason they picked me, because I had language skills and I understood the impact of culture. So going in each factory with a different language and culture, that was hard. But I'm pretty quick on the uptake, figure out where the benefits were and how to get through to them. It's exciting. Each victory I had in each factory was really motivated me a lot. And they didn't really hire me at first to put 3D printing in factory operations, jigs, fixtures, mechanisms, things like that. But we did. The factories took off. The factories loved it. And they could print a replacement part in a couple hours. The line technicians could make changes for ergonomics and things. And they got really, really excited because they felt more in part of the process. There's a lot of value added into additive. And that is the excitement that it brings to an organization, and the people know they can make changes.
You've been pretty interesting times, Keith, in what you've done. Tell me, are there many people in the world with your sort of knowledge? I mean, you obviously know some of the other people. It must be a pretty limited market. There wouldn't be thousands of you, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, Danfoss spent 2 years looking for me, I guess. Yeah. And they were doing it in Europe. They weren't looking in the U.S. Yes. The people like me, we have an award called a Dino Award, which I've got. But the people like me are going away to the dinosaur. Right. Because to be really good, you have to have expertise in there. Yes. And the expertise is getting narrow and narrowly focused to be good on all these things
And it takes
had
time.
it.
You don't learn it overnight, obviously.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. What the old people like me have is perspective about new
Yes.
technology,
Yes.
how it can be good,
Yeah,
how
how
it
it
can be
happens.
benefit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Interesting. Tell us, in your opinion, what are the key qualities and skills that you believe have contributed to your success?
Um, I don't give up
Yeah, so,
on
yeah,
a design, on a
you
technology.
look for a solution.
I believe in fudging things. There's always a way of doing something
Yeah,
if you just think about it right. My best ideas, I'll wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning
I
and
got that one.
write it down, and then spend the next hour trying to figure out what I wrote down
Yeah,
at 2 or 3 in the morning.
yeah,
You have to go with the flow with people
yes,
and with things, and don't fight too much. Quote Sun Tzu: "Know when to fight, when not to fight." Bad managers come and go like good ones. You just have to uh, be patient; they'll go away.
great rises to the top. I'll tell you an interesting story. I don't know whether it's an urban myth or not, but apparently Colgate-Palmolive, many years ago, they were losing market share, and they called all the executives from all over the world to a big meeting. And they're having this meeting. What can we do? What can we do? And they're all scratching their heads. And the cleaner with the broom who was walking past, he just mumbled to them, "Make the hole bigger." The concept was there, of course, as you press all those years you've been pressing hard on the toothpaste, now when you press a little bit more will come out. So if more comes out, you're going to use more, they're going to sell more. So I thought that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah,
I
I
used to believe
believe in
that.
using the combined IQ of a group. Even
Yeah,
if you don't have a group, you have some people together and talk about it. That IQ increases exponentially with all the
absolutely.
people in the same room. You
Yeah,
give them a partial idea, they go on. It works
yeah,
out.
that's right. It's sort of like just turn the light bulb on, isn't it? Like a light bulb moment. How do you stay motivated and continue to innovate in your field as you've done all these years? What's your secret?
Oh, that's a good question. I think my industry is easily to be motivated in. The technology is still fresh
Yeah,
and it's exciting and it evolves,
yes,
and you can do things nobody else have done before.
yes,
And you get to use 100% or 130% of your own creativity.
yeah,
So, and there's always young people getting in, which helps you get younger and helps
correct.
motivate you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you learn from each other. Tell us about if you can, tell us about a recent project or achievement you're particularly proud of.
Well, I'll go back to one where we had a casting, and the people in operations wanted to put a pad of metal on there for testing,
Yes,
and they had been screwing it on before, and it was all causing problems. So we had to, can I do something? And I said, well, yeah, I can make a new casting with 3D printed sand molds, which are much superior to that. And they didn't want to do that. And so I can use a hybrid. And I mentioned a hybrid before. So it's half CNC, half direct energy metal. So I was going to grow a 17.4 pad of metal onto this gray iron casting. Now,
yes,
we weren't sure what was going to happen because you have a difference in materials. It may not stick or weld or
Joe.
be
Yeah,
good enough. So we put a pool worldwide. What would happen? What would the result of material strength between the two? And
wow,
we had people in Germany and China, Australia, a few other people, China, P3D in Australia, and guess what it would be. And we were all wrong because
wow,
we thought the carbon that was the gray iron would interfere with the weld because it had lower iron in the 17.4 stainless.
uh-huh.
And so what happened was it actually did the reverse of osmosis. It pulled what carbon there was in the 17.4 into the gray iron. So we had like a 95% material strength.
Fantastic.
And so, and I cheated too. Um, I had CNC grooves in the casting.
Yes,
So when you had the metal, it filled into the grooves,
yeah, which
and you
helped you,
had
won't it?
weld strength plus the interlocking mechanical strength
Yeah, so you
of the
give it you
two.
give it like a binding method, right?
Right, exactly right.
Yeah, pretty cool.
There's always a way.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that all comes with experience, doesn't it? It comes with, like Edison with his light bulb, 1,000 ways the light bulb won't work until he got it to work. You know. all these things come into play. What advice would you give a younger version of yourself coming into the game these days? What would you tell them?
When you get into place, try to find out the older people that know something. Spend time trying to learn what they know, and then grow from that. Find out what you're good at. Find out what you're passionate about. Try to make a marriage between the two. Don't be afraid to change jobs to do it. Some people in young change jobs too fast. You don't want to do that either.
That's right. I'm guilty in my businesses. Quite frankly, I don't regret much. I don't worry about regrets. That's the past. But I must say to anyone out there, I've had 5 multi-million-dollar businesses, and every one of them I stayed too long. I actually lost my passion. I made plenty of money, but I didn't have the passion. It's not about just the money, guys. It's about the fun, the enjoyment, the excitement, and the money, right? They've got to go together. If you haven't got the other 3, the money is just a byproduct, you know.
And if you don't have the passion, the stress stays with you more, I think. The stress rolls off and your IQ increases if you're passionate about it.
Luckily, some things forced me to get out. And others, like COVID came along and wiped me out on my last business, and that was a good thing. I've been doing it for 20 years, and I was, funny enough, I was just about to sign a sale, $1.5 million, and we were at the sign it stage, and COVID came along about a week later, wiped that out. It didn't faze me though. I thought it was only $1.5 million. I had money anyway, and I had assets. But it was what it was. It's just a pity to see it die. That was all. It was a good business. Looking ahead, what are your goals and aspirations for the future? What are you going to be doing with yourself?
I keep on thinking about retiring for the 5th time.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We all die when we retire. We swivel up.
Well, it just gets to the point where I can pick my jobs down in consulting. I can pick my hours.
Yeah, it's good.
And so,
and your location, I guess, too. You can always pick up and go somewhere.
Right, I can, but I don't want to. I have my fruit and vegetables I grow, farmers market and stuff, and so I have my own projects to do. But I like helping people, so I help people in the industry, especially younger people, with solutions and how to get going.
Yeah, lovely. So, what's the best way? If people want to know more about this fascinating subject, what's the best way for them to reach out and have a yarn to you, Keith? What's the best way?
I would say go to some of the conferences in the U.S. There's Rapid plus TCT, the 𝐷𝐸MUG conference. In Europe, we have TCT UK, Formnext in Germany, TCT Asia. There's a TCT Japan.
I mentioned their yearly events. They move them around.
No, they move them around in their countries. I would say Formnext in Germany stays pretty much in the same spot in Frankfurt. But everybody else moves around a little bit. That way you get other people to walk in traffic.
Yeah, fair enough. So before we wrap it up, tell us a fun, you're a pretty interesting guy. Tell us a fun thing. I'm thinking about Q, all the gadgets. Tell me a fun fact about yourself that most people don't know.
I'm sorry, come again?
A fun fact about you that most people don't know.
Oh, gee. I make homemade jam and homemade wine.
There you go. He's got his own orchard, guys. I was telling you earlier.
Yeah, I love it. When you're with high technology, it's very therapeutic to work on the ground.
Yeah. Well,
it kind of evens you out a little bit. And stuff.
And the good thing is you're clever. You've got yourself other hobbies apart from that. You're not one-dimensional. Well, so many people in life, guys, don't be one-dimensional. Get a hobby. Go fishing, play golf, do something. But have other outside interests, guys. Have hobbies, right? Because they'll keep you grounded, and they'll keep you frustrated sometimes, but also keep you grounded, right? Keith, you've been an awesome guest today. Once again, thanks very much for being on the show, my friend. And guys, if you want your 15 minutes of fame and meet some interesting people like our friend here, and if you want to come on and tell every man and woman's got a story, guys. Not as interesting as this gentleman, but you've all got a story. So come on and tell your story to the world. Think about it. TV commercials are going to set you back $30,000, and they probably go and make a burger or go and have a beer while the commercial's on. So 10 radio spots set you back about $5,000, and they may play them at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when people are asleep, apart from insomniacs like me and Keith here. But otherwise, guys, come on 15 Minutes of Fame, and we'll help you spread the word all over social media and put you potentially in front of tens of thousands of people. So once again, thanks for being a guest, my friend. It's been an awesome experience. I enjoyed it very much.
All right. Thank you.